in my 50s, my husband and I, we're living paycheck to paycheck.
Oh, retirement is actually a luxury item. It's Gucci, it's Prada. Now it's only something rich people can afford.
Getting a second job to supplement their income because the retirement is not enough or they need more money to live.
This is the country we live in, where retirement is an absolute fantasy.
We are carrying 3 generations worth of weight on our shoulders. We are caring for our aging, frail parents. We are attempting somehow to take care of ourselves in some shape or form, and we are still raising children and teenagers.
Any other Gen Xers out there feeling like retirement is getting further and further away?
Our one rent, one medical bill, and one bad month of being homeless.
Gen X grew up with eras of economic shifts and uncertainty, from the gas shortage in the 70s to enduring years of inflation and recession, and also living through the Great Recession. Many Gen Xers are finding that the traditional retirement savings like pensions, 401ks, and even Social Security might not be enough to secure a comfortable retirement. And with stagnant wages, rising healthcare costs, and increased life expectancy, some Gen Xers are realizing that they need a new plan.
Talking to that 62-year-old lady at the gas station who's practically in tears because she can't retire. Working your whole life, did everything right, and now she still has to show up every day just to survive. This is the country we live in, where retirement is an absolute fantasy, where your golden years are just more years of fucking labor until you die. Meanwhile, our government sends billions of dollars overseas, bails out banks, throws parties in D.C., but tells you, sorry, we can't help you. You're on your own. You break your back, you pay your taxes, you beg for scraps. We don't live in a free country, folks. We live in a system that feeds off our labor until we have nothing left to give. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as it's supposed to. So, in the ending here, we should all be a little pissed off. Actually, not just pissed off, we should be furious that we live in a country where our government doesn't give a shit about you, only how much money you can pay in taxes. But when you die, it's over. Pay till you die. Retirement is a farce. It's a fucking scam. Because when you retire, you're supposed to be able to enjoy your life. But in America, the land of the unfree, you gotta work until you're fucking dead.
When I see a Gen Xer and they think they're doing really, really well with their $300,000 to $500,000, I'm like, how are you going to retire? You have 10 years. If you just continue to do what you're doing and you're making more than $100,000 a year, because most Gen Xers are at this point, how are you going to live? Because groceries aren't going down. Electricity's not going down. The water bill's not going down. Specials aren't going down. How are you going to live on less? My parents.
Why would you want to?
Exactly. I don't want to. But guess what happens when your children were born?
Any other Gen Xers out there feeling like retirement is getting further and further away rather than closer and closer? I get it. Savings feels impossible. And most of the opportunities out there, they're just scams.
Could you explain this to me? Why? At 54 years old, and my husband's almost 60, our whole entire life, well, not entire life, but you know what I mean, our adult life, we have worked hard. We have raised 2 beautiful kids. We've paid our bills. We've paid our taxes. We are nowhere in life. We still live paycheck to paycheck every week or every 2 weeks. Our retirement, little, very, 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 very little. Where did we go wrong? We're good. Blessings for that. Good family life. You know, we didn't do extravagant things in our life. We're still struggling paycheck to paycheck. There again, we don't have much and we want to retire. I want to retire before I'm in a wheelchair or I can't walk. I want to be 90 and not retire. So if you have any answers, please let me know. I have one that I found. And if you're in this situation and would like to know more information, put purpose in the comments and let's get together and talk.
Let's keep it real. Retirement in America is not a plan anymore. That's actually a fairy tale. Retirement used to be the default. You know, you would work, you'd save, you hit a certain age, and then boom, you could sit your ass down somewhere. That was the whole deal. But now retirement is actually a luxury item. It's Gucci, it's Prada. Now it's only something rich people can afford. For everybody else, the new normal is working until your last breath. Punching the clock until they roll you out of that building in a box. I want y'all, listen, don't get it twisted, because none of this is by accident. The system wants you to work until you die. Why? Well, because if you never stop working, then the system never stops running. Your body breaks down, your mind gets tired, but the machine keeps winning. Think about it. Your whole life you've been sold a dream. Work hard, save your money. One day you'll be able to retire. Meanwhile, wages are stagnant, 401ks are a joke, Social Security is shaky, and the cost of living keeps eating every single dollar that you make. The dream has expired, but they still want you to clock in every morning like you're chasing it. It's generational too. It's not just you, your kids, same deal. They're going to work all the way into the end until they have no more life left. So the next time somebody asks you, when you plan to retire, this is what I want you to tell them. Retire? Baby, I'm on that work till you die plan. That's the new American dream.
Okay, Gen X women, we have gotten absolutely screwed. We are carrying 3 generations worth of weight on our shoulders. We are caring for our aging, frail parents. We are attempting somehow to take care of ourselves in some shape or form, and we are still raising children and teenagers. We are the first group of women to have children later on in life. We are the first group of women that we were told we can have it all. And in fact, you should have it all and you should do it all. And we are the first group of women that are breaking under the weight of it all. There was nothing in society to help hold us up. There was no structure, there was no scaffolding, there was no plan to offer us support while we are doing it all. We got 100% screwed.
They call Gen X the forgotten generation, caught between boomers and millennials, quietly holding everything together. They're caring for aging parents, raising teenagers, and still trying to survive themselves. But for many, retirement feels like a scam. They're living paycheck to paycheck, watching the cost of living rise faster than their savings ever could. Their retirement funds can't keep up, and the idea of slowing down one day feels like a dream meant for someone else. They look at boomers and see how even those who did everything right, who saved, who planned, are now running out of money. So what hope is left for Gen X? Growing old in America doesn't look peaceful anymore. It looks exhausting. It looks like working until you can't.
If you're a guy over 50, let me ask you something. When you were younger, did you ever imagine you'd be working this hard, this late in life, and spending so much time being scared of retirement rather than looking forward to it? When we were kids, they sold us on the notion that the key to success was to work hard, stay loyal to the company, max out your 401k. And I guess that probably would have worked if the people in charge of the money supply and government spending hadn't engineered things such that our wages and our rate of return stayed pretty much flat since the 1970s. But as it turned out, no matter how hard you worked, at least for most of us, the income never really kept up with the increasing costs. So it got harder and harder to save money as we got older. And now, you probably do, and I do. I remember a time when we thought retirement was the finish line, a time to transition where you didn't have to grind away so hard every day. You could ease up a little bit, reap the rewards of a life well lived. Now that kind of feels like a fantasy. Nowadays, too many of us are in a position to where the old idea of retirement just isn't realistic anymore.
We did everything right. We worked hard, we paid our bills, we raised our children the right way. So can somebody explain why in my 50s, my husband and I, we're living paycheck to paycheck? Retirement seems so completely out of reach. At this point, I feel like I'm going to be working till I'm 80 years old. What, I get a couple of years that I can sit back and relax? I'm so done with feeling stuck and definitely looking for a way out. So if you're in your 50s and you know you deserve more, Comment me, and let's figure this all out together.
We are living in a retirement nightmare right now with so many people facing homelessness. You know, when I grew up, seeing your parents, and then for me working decades, you think retirement is a time of peace and quiet. You're rewarded for all your hard work. And for so many, it has become a complete nightmare. It's not like that anymore, unfortunately. There are so many people right now that are one rent, one medical bill, and one bad month of being homeless out on the streets. That's very sad. But that, unfortunately, is the reality that we are living in right now. I grew up believing that after working really hard for years, and everything would be fine. You know, you're putting into your 401k. You know, if you're fortunate enough to have a 401k, I worked for only one company that had a 401k, so I really didn't have a whole lot in a 401k. I was fortunate enough to have a pension, not a large one by any means, but I just saved for my retirement. That's what I had to do. So that's what we're thinking, that everything was great. You know, a lot of people get that when you retire, people are taking all these beautiful vacations and they're walking through the sand on a beach with their margaritas. For the most part, most people aren't doing that. Most people wish they could do that, but most people are not doing that. And so many people right now are having a hard time with the housing costs, the groceries, the insurance. We're being taxed to death. So you're going to see people that are not always going to tell you how bad they're struggling. I get it. They're proud. I get that. They're embarrassed as to where they're at in life. They're going to feel like they failed. They didn't do enough to prepare themselves. I didn't always do enough to prepare myself. But you're going to find people sleeping in cars. You're going to find people staying with other family members or going from place to place. Can you imagine being in your 60s and 70s and you're not sure if you're going to have a home to go home to next month? I can't imagine that. I am very blessed that I have a home, and maybe I bought at the right time. I don't know, but it's affordable. I feel thankful that I'm where I'm at, but I feel so bad for some of these people that are one rent away from losing everything. I get that. But I've never been in their shoes. So, but I don't want people to blame themselves because it's not your fault. The system isn't built to protect us in today's world. It's just not.
I was just in Starbucks, and it's just crazy to me now that I go, be out or whatever, and I'm just starting to see a lot of senior citizens, retirees, right, in these jobs. Like the barista that was making my drink, she had to be in her 70s. Anyway, she had messed up. Because, I be ordering the drink and you got to do this, you got to do that, whatever. Not too crazy. But she messed up or whatever, and the younger guy, there was just two of them. So it was like a younger guy that was at the register, and then it was the barista, older woman. So when I was like, oh, they forgot to add, I'd like to get a little bit of extra syrup, and then they forgot to add it, which everybody does that. When I order my lavender drink, I always add 2 extra pumps, and for some reason they take out the simple syrup and they just add the 2 vanilla pumps, and it's like, no, I want the simple syrup and 2 extra vanilla pumps. Anyway, so she forgot that, which is normal. I go to different Starbucks, they always forget it. So the guy, he was like correcting her, and I was like, oh yeah, I must have missed the extra syrup in it because it wasn't sweet. So he was like showing her like where he marked it and all that. She was like, oh, I'm sorry. So I felt so horrible, and I'm like, oh no, it's okay. You can just put the syrup in the drink you made. You don't have to make it over. So he was like, no, we're making it over because it's not gonna blend right or whatever. She was like, no, I'll make it. But she had to been in her 70s, and you know, the YTs, they be looking a little older than what their real age. But I don't know. I'm thinking she like in her 70s. She was a retiree. I don't care. She was a retiree. But my point is that that's sad, because those jobs are supposed to be for the, I know this thing cuts off. So, where I was at, those jobs are really supposed to be for, like, you know, the youth, younger folks, you know, just getting into the workforce or whatever. But my point I'm making is that goes to show you that all these older senior citizens have to go back out and get a job. Like, I can't imagine my mom will be 77. I cannot imagine her being a barista at Starbucks, because she has to find or has to have extra money to live. That's my point here. It's like, I felt so horrible. Like, why does she, what? Like, it's just stuff. I just pay attention to stuff like that, and it bothers me. Seeing, like, when I see old people out and they're struggling, they have bags in their hand, it breaks my heart. Because I'm like, that could be my mom. Luckily, you know, she has a person that attends to her and does her shopping and all that stuff. But it just bothers me. I don't know. That was just something I observed today, that I'm just like, you know, this is crazy. Like, all these older people that I know, and I know people retire and then they go back and they work. But 9 out of 10 times, it's not because they want to keep themselves active working. There's other things you can do to keep yourself active and on the go, instead of going to get a second job. They're getting a second job to supplement their income because the retirement is not enough, or they need more money to live. That's the point. That's the point here. Like, you're not going to sit there and tell me a 70-something-year-old woman wants to go work at Starbucks just for the fun of it. I doubt it. And if you do, I'm pretty sure there are cases that they do, but I doubt it. Not here in America. That lady's working because she needs the money, because she can't afford to live probably with. I'm just unhappy. It just bothers me. I don't know. That was just something I observed today, that I'm just like, you know, this is crazy. Like, all these older people that I know, and I know people retire and then they go back and they work. But 9 out of 10 times, it's not because they want to keep themselves active working. There's other things you can do to keep yourself active and on the go, instead of going to get a second job. They're getting a second job to supplement their income because the retirement is not enough, or they need more money to live. That's the point. That's the point here. Like, you're not going to sit there and tell me a 70-something-year-old woman wants to go work at Starbucks just for the fun of it. I doubt it. And if you do, I'm pretty sure there are cases that they do, but I doubt it. Not here in America. That lady's working because she needs the money, because she can't afford to live probably with. I'm just unhappy.
For Gen X, retirement isn't the reward it used to be. It's the next impossible goal. They've done what they were told, worked hard, paid taxes, saved when they could. But in today's economy, it's never enough. They're squeezed from all sides, supporting parents, kids, and themselves, while rent, healthcare, and groceries drain every paycheck. Their retirement funds feel like a joke. Their future feels uncertain. They don't dream about vacations or beach houses. They dream about just having enough to stop working someday. But even that feels out of reach. Because for many Gen Xers, retirement isn't a finish line, it's a fantasy.
Am I the only one who feels like I will never stop living paycheck to paycheck? The economy we live in is trash. The jobs we work for are trash. They pay you the bare minimum, but want you to show up and give your 110%. How does that work? These houses, they want you to pay $1,000+ for rent, and they're 1980 houses. You gotta have a deposit, last month's rent, first month's rent. Like, why do I need to pay last month's rent? I don't understand that. Car insurance, car payments, they're rip-offs. Why am I paying $300 for car insurance? I don't understand. Health insurance, skyrocket. Food, skyrocket. Like, I just don't understand how I will ever be able to afford to wake up and go hop on a plane and enjoy my best life. I just don't understand. By the time my kids get to adulthood, they're gonna have to pay to open the door to walk out of their own house. I really, really, really rather be a cockroach crawling on the ground for free than have to live this life every day. Like, I can't be the only one who feels this way. Like, I need to know, y'all that get to wake up and take trips and go across country and do $100 shopping sprees at Target every single day. What are you doing? What's the secret to life? What is the secret recipe that you have that we don't have? Let us know.
One of the most difficult things about being Gen X and growing up with aging parents is seeing where you're at in your own personal life, right? And then seeing what 30 years in the future is going to look like for you. I know for me, it's been super difficult to like wrap my mind around how hard I'm working, what I'm doing in order to just like feed my family, in order to have that better future, but also seeing that future through the lens of my parents. And it's very difficult to see like, how does this equate? Because for the longest time, I always looked at retirement as this golden pie in the sky sort of ideal that is out there that like one day I would get to. One day if I just worked really hard, I would get to. And I am on that path, but seeing what that actually means is like mind-boggling to me, because there's maybe, if you're lucky, like 10 years where you're active, wanting to do stuff, and that you're not like cranky. So I don't know, is anyone else going through this? Because like it's interesting.
You know what I realize? Things should not be this hard. It is 2025, and why are people struggling to make ends meet as bad as we are? I mean, I have a full-time job. I work 55 hours a week. My husband has a full-time job. He busts his butt every day. We have Wednesdays off together, so typically I'll pick up a clean if I can on Wednesdays, and he will even help me. And then on my other day off, if I can, then I'll pick up another clean. And it's still a struggle. Like, why? What is going on? And I watched a video the other day, and a girl was, very upset, which I understand wholeheartedly. And she was talking about she had a full-time job and as a caregiver, and then her husband had a full-time job, and then she was cleaning on the side and barely making it paycheck to paycheck. And I get it. We're in the same boat. And I don't have small children at home. Like, my children are all grown and moved out, and it's just me and my husband and a possum dog for everyday usage. And why is it so hard? Like, things have gotten so far out of hand, and I do not understand it. But I guess the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. But I hope everything happens good to you today. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I hope a financial blessing is in your future. Have a great day.
You may or may not know I'm that guy that messed up his retirement. I really fucked it up. And I didn't mean to. It just happened that way. I was like everyone else. I wanted to retire. For 2 years, 3 years, I would talk to people at work. Oh, it's going to be wonderful. Retire. I can fish. I can hike. I can go boating. I can do this. I can do that. I'm not a golfer, though. But I like all that other stuff. I like floating on inner tubes on warm water lakes in the South. I mean, there's things I like to do. I like sitting under trees and just relaxing, sipping iced tea. There's lots of things you can do when you retire also. You can help people, go to the church, go to the food pantry, volunteer, stuff like that. But I ran out of money, which put this stress, this burden on me, this lump in my throat. We couldn't eat out anymore. We couldn't go to restaurants. We couldn't go on the vacations we used to. We were used to living at a level where we both worked all the time. Work. So we would play. We would vacation. We would go out. We would do stuff. We'd visit people. We traveled a little bit, not far. We never left. Maybe we left the United States once and went to Costa Rica. That was a big splurge. Anyway, I ran. The cost of living doubled between 3 years before I retired and 3 years after I retired. Everything seemed to double. I didn't anticipate it. People say, oh, you should have saved more. Well, no shit, I should have saved more. It's easy to look back and go, yeah, I should have saved more. But I didn't save more. I had 401ks. Everybody had 401ks. When I went to work, you joined a 401k, you maximize it, you put your money in there. I got a divorce. Guess what happens to your 401k? Half of it goes. Poof. All right, so you kind of start over. You got half the 401k and half the value of maybe half a house that was paid off. So you kind of start over again. Okay, you build it up, but it's not as high as what it was.
If you found this video eye-opening, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Feed Archive for more real stories about money, the economy, and the people living through it. Your support helps us keep these conversations going and keeps their voices heard.